never used Adobe Premiere before, so I found it really hard to use and get the hang of at the start, but however, as I'd used iMovie before, I slowly got the hang of it. As you can see, one of the main softwares we used was Premiere, which is what we used to edit our documentary. All we had to do was drag in to add a clip we wanted. We used the razor tool to take out and put in the clips that we wanted. We clicked the title at the top of the page to insert text, and because ours is about prices of food, that's what the title was. You could change the typography by adding different text, changing the colour and also the font and size too. This is effective because it makes our documentary more interesting by adding text rather than just having plain simple things. We also manipulated the images in our documentary by changing the exposure, the contrast and all the things like that to make it seem more professional. This links with mediation because we are mediating the image that the audience will be seeing. One of the key things to make sure our documentary was successful is to make sure that the sound levels were amazing. To do this, we clicked on the soundbar at the bottom, went into the corner and typed in equalizer. When this came up, we messed around with the lows and the mids to make sure that it didn't have that tinny and canny sound effects in the background. Also, to make the sound louder, we right clicked on the actual audio and changed the audio gain to how loud or quiet we wanted it to be. Another thing we learned how to do is add in video transitions, which makes it more engaging to the public and the audience, and I found this quite easy to do. We also learned how to use InDesign for our double page spread, which is okay to use because we used it for our double page spread previously in our AS media course, so we found it quite easy and simple to use. This just shows how we added images and how we manipulated it to make it brighter and less brighter. We also added text boxes with a placeholder text, and then we finally gradually added our actual article in. From using our previous skills, we also added in grab quotes, change the text, change the font. Also, with the colour of the text in certain aspects, we made sure that it linked in with the Big Mistake logo, because then it shows like brand identity and it shows that it's our specific products. And we also used Photoshop to edit the background of the Radio Times logo, so it was actually just the Radio Times which stood out. We also added dates and bylines and the schedule of when it's going to come out and a gradient to the colour because it makes it more professional and links in with the codes and conventions. GarageBand is another software that we used to edit the radio advert for our documentary. We used it very briefly at the end of AS, however I wasn't really confident in using it. However, doing it this time round, I found it more easier to use, and I had to make sure that the sound levels were perfect by making sure the audio gain was at a certain level. Final Cut Pro is another software I used, whereas last year I used iMovie. This was like a step up towards that. I found this quite easy to use because of iMovie, so I could add in text and it was easy just to drag in the music. I also added in like separate images, so it like overlapped and then it came into a montage. I'd never done this before, so I found it quite hard to use, and I had to change like the scale of the image and rotate it and put it to the left and right using like the transform tools on the right hand side of the page. But then after I added everything on, it looked really good and I liked it a lot. Adding in the actual clips was quite easy to use. It was just like Premiere and iMovie, you just had to drag it in. Again, I added in text to talk about like the different titles as you've seen in this video and change the typography to what I wanted to use. I used the blade tool to cut out the bits I didn't want and what I did want. I used the retime tool to adjust the speed of how I wanted it to be so that the video doesn't prolong. Then went into window to record a voiceover, which I'm doing right now, and then I added in fade ins and fade outs to make it blend more nicely in. And then to add in images, again you just drag it in, and then I used one of the transition-y tools to add like an artifact kind of effect on it. And then I also used Ken Burn, which is kind of like a transition, which enables the image to zoom in and zoom out. And then finally added in video transitions, just like we did with Premiere. Emaze is a software we've already used previously, and it's just an online presentational software which allows us to create basically presentations. I found this really easy to use and to add in text and add in images and all of that, because comparing this to Premiere, this is easy. I then went on share and copied the embedded code. Prezi again is something I've already used previously in my AS, so I found this really simple and easy to use because it's just like PowerPoint. It helped me demonstrate my work for my evaluation questions and other tasks, and add in text, images, changes typography. I was effective in using the software because I knew how to use it. However, Prezi itself as a software was very time consuming because it was very slow and sometimes it would crash or it would freeze the computer, so it would take a long time to do. Something new I learned that I didn't actually learn in AS was that I can add filters and effects on the actual image and manipulating it by adding different filters, so it makes the image stand out, and you can also add frames to make it stand out from the actual Prezi page. Again, I just went on share and copied the embedded code. Another software I've used is a website called Slides. Again, this is really simple to use compared to the other softwares. It's very simple to add in text, change the text, and the typography. It's also very easy to add in images. However, this site differed from both Prezi and Emaze because you can add in the actual certain hyperlink of a YouTube video, which is shown here. And then once you'd previewed the actual page, the video you wanted to show would actually come up. I found Slides very easy to use, and it was much easier than both Prezi and Emaze because it's really quick, it doesn't crash, so I was effective in using it because it didn't take long at all. And then, like the other two softwares, you go on share and copy the embedded code. Keynote pages are the simplest software that I've used so far, as it's very simple to add in text like the other softwares, but it was not even using internet, so I could use it wherever and whenever, so it was very effective for me to use. And then, because it was on Keynote, I then exported the file as a PowerPoint document and then went onto SlideShare, which I've used in AS, and uploaded the document. And then again, like the other softwares, I copied the embedded code. Blogger is one of the main softwares I use, which brings my whole A2 coursework together, and this is where I posted all the embedded codes from Prezi, Emaze, SlideShare, and all the other online presentational softwares onto Blogger so you can see my coursework. So I've used different hardwares. For example, firstly my phone. My phone is what I use to contact my group and to talk about when we'll be doing audience research, what kind of things we'll be doing, and clearly, as you can see in this conversation right here, we are talking about when we are going to be doing evaluation question 3, which is recording our audience. Also, as you can see, there are pictures we've sent about questionnaires, when things go wrong, and also things in class and how to fix things. Obviously, this is really effective for all three of us because it's easy to contact each other, which is one of the things why our documentary was successful and our other products too. Another software that was used on my phone was the camera, which is what I recorded for all my videos, and it had high quality and it was very simple, and all I had to do was press record. After transforming the video from my iPhone to the laptop to edit, I then airdrop it back to my phone because it was easier to upload it onto a software called YouTube as the internet connection was faster. It was very simple to do as I just added in the title, clicked upload, and depending on how long the video was and how the connection was, that's how long it would take. Other pieces of hardware that I've been using is both the Macs at college and also my MacBook Pro, which had my editing software on, as Final Cut Pro was only on my laptop and Premiere was only on the Macs at college. I like using my laptop because it's transportable, I can take it where I want, and it's easy to use too. So other hardwares that we've used to make our documentary, magazine and radio advert was actually like the cameras and the video cameras that we used. We used a Panasonic camera, which was needed for the documentary because that's what we filmed on. We'd never really recorded anything before, so it was kind of new to get used to it, and obviously there was multiple video cameras there, so we had to use which one was best for us, and then we finally found the Panasonic one which suited us best and also had really good lighting. And after using it quite a bit, we finally got used to it. We also used boom mics and clip-on mics, two of the things which I've never used before in my life. So at the start we were a bit like confused how to use it, and well, it was hard to use it. However, after finally like getting into it, we like made sure that we knew how to use them before doing anything because we wanted to make sure that our sound was always there. And we also needed to make sure that the boom mic was always on, like make sure to turn it on, otherwise the sound will not be recording, and thankfully we did not have that mistake. We also used tripods to have the camera stand on so that it was level and it was in a slanty clip and that it wasn't shaky, so it looked more professional. However, one of the times we went to Touchwood and we forgot the base plate which sits on top of the tripod, which wasn't very good because we kind of wasted a lot of time, so it was time consuming, and then we had to go again to Solihull and record them again, but in the end the Vox Pops turned out fine, so it was okay. We also used a voice recorder for the actual radio advert. We didn't use a boom mic or a clip-on mic because that's usually for the actual video process. However, seeing as it was just sound, we used a voice recorder. We'd use this very briefly at the end of AS, starting on to learn about A2, but we found it really hard to use. We also used them for the voice overs for the documentary, and it wasn't the fact that it was hard to use, it was making sure that the sound level was right, and you needed to make sure that you went in the same room, in the same place, in the same position, at the same time, and the same people in the room, and it had to have like specific conditions in order to make sure that the sounds were great. But apart from that, it was alright to use. So those are the main hardwares that we used for completing A2 coursework.